Waiting for justice nearly 3 years later since a shooting happened on Christmas Day.
It's a case of a murdered 18-year-old, and it's still at a standstill at this point in court as the accused killer may not be competent to stand trial. Fox 10 investigator Justin Lum reports on the complex process that has devastated the victim's family.
For Monique Cardiel, every day is a fight for hope, patience, and most of all, justice. But now all she can do is rely on the criminal justice system.
There isn't anything that I can do to push this along or to get him justice like on my own. It's terrifying.
Her firstborn, Tyler Cardiel, was 18, walking home from his job at the Circle K near 83rd Avenue and Indian School in Phoenix. Tyler had worked the overnight shift on Christmas Eve 2020.
That night, my son was feeding homeless people, giving them Polar Pop drinks. He was helping them. So I just think it's ironic that that whole night he was wishing them Merry Christmas and feeding them just to be murdered by one.
How many gunshots?
4.
4 gunshots across the body.
The 4th one was in the back of his head.
Police say a homeless man, Timothy Bell, shot and killed Tyler that Christmas morning. Investigators pointed to surveillance footage from the Circle K showing Bell in and out of the store during Tyler's shift. And police say DNA found on the suspect's clothing left at the scene would later match Bell. Weeks later, investigators located him with a gunshot wound to the head. He survived, arrested for multiple charges, including first-degree murder. Court records say Bell admitted to shooting someone because of his rage for being homeless.
Timothy Bell, 09/28/1990.
A little more than 2 years later, Maricopa County prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for Bell, who has yet to stand trial.
We're going to make the argument that because my client suffered a gunshot wound to the head, and this may involve medical analysis.
Bell's defense filed a notice for incompetency last October, motioning for the court to determine if the 32-year-old is fit to proceed with trial, known as Rule 11.
I did not ask to be a participant in the Rule 11 process. I filed a motion saying that my client is not competent and provided support for that.
What's your basis for a ruling that defendant's not competent?
He was evaluated by 2 experts.
No, that's what are you referring to? I mean, you're citing to a rule, right? You're citing to Rule 11 because that's the process that we use for determining competency.
In this case, court filings say a psychiatrist and psychologist evaluated Bell to determine his competency. Russ Richelsoph is a criminal defense attorney with nearly 25 years of experience. He's not associated with the state's case against Timothy Bell. Under the 6th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, anyone charged with a crime has a right to a fair trial. But for a trial to be fair, the defendant must be able to participate in their defense meaningfully.
Does this defendant have a mental illness, defect, or disability that affects their ability to communicate with their attorney, understand their constitutional rights, and understand the nature of the proceedings?
Bell's attorneys say his self-inflicted gunshot to the head resulted in a missing eye and seizures. For months, the prosecution and defense went back and forth regarding the appointment of a 3rd doctor.
We essentially have 2 doctors that have been appointed that, from my perspective, do not have the necessary qualifications to conduct a Rule 11 evaluation in a case that involves an organic brain injury.
Why would you spend the resources on a neurologist if it's unnecessary at this point?
The state recommended a neuropsychologist to determine Bell's competency. The defense nominated a neurologist of their choosing, Dr. Pamela Blake, claiming she was more qualified to evaluate the defendant. In June, the court ordered for Dr. Blake to serve as an additional expert, and she submitted her report by August.
The doctor is recommending a neuropsychological evaluation, which is what the state had requested at the beginning.
3 doctors, another recommendation, but still no determination on whether or not the man accused of murdering Tyler Cardiel is competent.
Usually those types of evaluations are more focused on a specific element of pathology or strengths and weaknesses of an individual based on what types of injury they might have had.
Jason Frizzell is a licensed psychologist and assistant professor at ASU who says a neuropsychological evaluation will be crucial. A recent court hearing revealed that Dr. Blake's report says it's possible that Bell sustained damage to the frontal lobe of the brain.
What is the importance of the frontal lobe?
So the frontal lobe is considered to be the executive functioning area of the brain where things like impulse control, advanced level of thought, decision-making, attention span, those sorts of functions are centered in.
In my experience, when dealing with organic brain issues, it's more likely that a person will be found not competent. It's also more likely that they'll be found not restorable.
Honestly, what I'm scared about is, yes, they can be restored, but can he be restored? Because their argument is the physical damage to his brain. Like, is that restorable?
If a defendant is determined to be incompetent and not restorable, that doesn't lead to freedom. They may meet the criteria for civil commitment. Prosecutors would have to file a petition to have the defendant kept in the custody of a mental health facility. Court hearings continue. Monique waits for justice, imagining what her son's life would have been.
How much do you ask what if?
Every day I wonder, what he'd be doing right now. Would he have gotten his truck? Would he still be working at Circle K? Would he still be living at home with us? Would he be in college? These are just things that you think of every day, because you don't know what he would be like.
I'm Justin Lum for Fox 10 Investigates.
By the way, the defense has made the request for the appointment of a neuropsychologist in this case. The county attorney's office tells Fox 10 multiple experts are hired in capital cases like this, which can lead to delays even when there's not an issue of competency. Mr. Bell's trial is currently scheduled to begin in December.